This episode is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana is in the business of driving you happy. And with the widest selection of used cars under $20,000, you're bound to find a car that'll put a smile on your face. They even offer customizable financing so you can plan your down and monthly payments. To shop thousands of affordable vehicles 100% online, download the app or visit Carvana.com. Availability may vary by market.
Oh, the ones that they always advertise to you on like Facebook or whatever, the ones that are like full length, and they have like a boa. Like
I want my robe to have a train.
Yeah,
like someone needs to.
Completely impractical. Completely impractical. Fully sheer. Couldn't really use it for any.
It's not going to keep you warm.
Purpose.
It's a sexy robe. Like it's sexy time. Like
it's sexy time robe.
It's sexy time. I murdered my husband robe.
Yeah. And I think you need a sexy I murdered my husband kitten heel slipper, right? With the fuzzy boa slipper. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And just to complete the ensemble.
The look. I feel like every woman should have that in their closet just for like, just a maybe. Like, just let your man know. Like, have it on.
I'm ready.
Just hanging.
Just letting you know. It's a threat. Okay.
We ready. Oh my goodness.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh,
okay.
Jesus, I was not talking into the microphone at all during that time.
Well, so you guys know that I did the Ancestry DNA, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So every once in a while, Ancestry will pop up and be like, "Oh, you got a new match," and whatever. And I'll pop on the app and just check it out or whatever. And so the last time I did that, I was just checking out like different like traits and things like that. Like, oh, your DNA shows that you have light eyes. Your DNA shows that you have wavy hair and blah, 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 right? All this stuff. And
mine got it so wrong when it came to some of that stuff.
I was like, some of it was like real. I was like, wait, what?
They're like, you're likely to have wavy hair, and like tight curls was like at the bottom of the list, and I was like, what? How? Okay.
No, you're like, no, it's definitely a tight curl. Yeah. I want to do the 23andMe. It seems like that's a little bit more. At any rate, the reason I'm telling you this is because I have a gene that's called the sprinter gene. And I cannot stop laughing about it and bringing it up at everything. So we went disc golfing last weekend and I fell in love. I love sports. I love doing outside things. I love playing catch and throwing the ball and doing stuff like that. Like that's in my wheelhouse. I love it. Love that kind of stuff. So I was like, disc golf is my new passion. I want to go every weekend.
You're going to be in like hella great shape from just disc golfing every weekend.
Walking a course. So this was after we'd gone and I was like, Chris, let's go all the time. This is so much fun. Right. And I was like, Chris, I have a sprinter gene. The sprinter gene is the gene for people who are like excel at sports, like Olympic athlete type. And I was like, well, Chris, it must be my sprinter gene. Tell me I can't stop using that all the time. And Chris is like, are you fucking serious? Like me of all people who can't even fucking run.
I was going to say like you love sports, but I can't see you as like a runner. Like you're not like, somebody who's like, I'm going to get up and get my morning run in,
Not even a fucking little bit, which makes it even more hilarious. And so like anything sports related, anything at all that comes up from now on to Chris, I'm like, oh, Chris must just be my sprinter gene.
Amazing.
Those things are fun. I mean, I will say I did 23andMe and I do think that it got a lot of stuff right, like as far as traits, but there were some things. It's like you're not likely to have dimples, you're not likely to have super tight curls, and I was just like, well, I don't know what happened here if I just got a bunch of like weird recessive shit. But also it makes me laugh because we had more, my brother and I both had more like Scottish Irish in us than we thought. I mean, like it makes sense because we knew there was a lot of English in there, and so of course makes sense that there would be a bit of like Irish and Scottish. But since then, Facebook has been presenting me with ads that are like celebrate your Scottish ancestry, like become a lord or lady, like buy land in Scotland. And I'm like, it ain't like that.
You're like it's like 13%, brah. Like,
yeah, like
calm down.
Literally chill, like less than that even.
Yeah.
Like, calm down.
I think mine is like 13% Scottish, and I was so shocked that I didn't have any Irish because no Irish at all.
Interesting.
High number of Scottish, probably the highest of like the ancestors I look through.
That's interesting.
It's really bizarre. It's so funny to see too.
You know what? These DNA kits, they really get you because once you do the one, you want to do the other one. Like, because you're like, I want to see how they compare. I want to see how like accurate. Because my brother did Ancestry and I did 23andMe. And even though we have the same parents, you know, your DNA is going to be slightly different, of course. But there were some like larger discrepancies. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a difference of the like program,
right,
or if it's that we just got those different genes or not. So now I'm like, now I need to do Ancestry.
Yeah, you do, because then the other thing too that will come up, it'll show that you guys are siblings. So even, and then you can compare your sibling traits right next to each other, which is really cool. Like I've done that with my sister, my birth sister, and we have obviously different fathers, so it's funny to see, like, you're like, oh, what did she pick up from her father's side that I can clearly see she doesn't have? So this I must have picked up from my father's side. It's cool.
It's really interesting. Like I told my brother after he did Ancestry and sent me his, and I did 23andMe and hadn't gotten my results back yet. I was like, I bet you I'm whiter than you. Like I just know it in my soul. Like that I have more white DNA than you do. And I was right. I like how you both were like, oh, that's too bad.
I'm sorry. That's so funny. It is funny though, like what you hold on to as dear from like what you know about your lineage than to like see it like out on paper or on like, you know, the site, and you're like, oh, well, I really expected to see more of X. Or
I need everybody who's like, my great grandma was a Cherokee princess,
right,
to get a DNA test, because look,
honey,
what I learned in this experience is that every family in the United States likes to be like, I'm Native American. I'm like 1/16 Chickasaw. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're probably not. Because I had none.
Family lore.
Yeah. Families like to lie about that stuff. They do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely. My mom, which we know is part Cherokee, she actually, like, it's her great grandmother. Like she, like, Simi knew her. So
of course,
like that
I'm
one
not
was
saying everyone's
no.
lying.
You're right, but you're so right. Like the number of times it's almost lost any energy to say that you have, because people all the time are like, it's just always. I don't know a family that doesn't have that as part of their family lore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know almost everyone I know, especially in Ohio, because there's so much American Indian history in Ohio that like people are like, yep, my grandmother was Cherokee, my great grandfather on my dad's side.
My
like,
family showed me pictures. And
Yeah?
I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
and none for my brother or
well,
I. Like,
it doesn't mean that they weren't in your family. It just means that you didn't
weren't blood
pick
related.
up, or you didn't pick up some of the genetic
I'd be
markers.
surprised if neither one of us did, but could be. Who knows? Genes are weird.
Genes are weird, aren't they? Genes. So what's your week's been like? It's been, I've been in crazy town trying to finish my midterm, which I'm neck deep in and absolutely loving, by the way, because I'm a big fat nerd.
Oh, I love that though. It's been busy. It's been a really, really busy week. Like, I overschedule myself anyway, but I always do it with the like understanding of like, oh, work's been kind of slow, so I can squeeze in more stuff, you know, like, but then this week work was like, nah, like we're going to be as difficult as possible and you're going to be as busy as possible. And so then you don't have time to like do all the other things, but you still have those responsibilities to do those other things. So it was a very busy week for me. Kind of the highlight of my week was that I was going through my cabinets, like middle of the day spring cleaning, like through my cabinets. And I was like, gosh, I have a lot of these Ipsy bags, these like subscription bags. Because a lot of people during quarantine were like, I am going to sign up for a subscription service because, you know, there's the days that the stuff comes and the days that the stuff does not come.
Right.
You know, and so I think a lot of people signed up for these subscription services. And I was like, I texted Christina because I was like, I know she signed up for these too. And I was like, what are you doing with these bags? And she's like, they're just sitting in my closet. And I'm like, well, mine are just sitting in my closet too. So why don't we like put together these kits, like, you know, menstrual care and hygiene kits for our unhoused community here in Los Angeles. And so I put that out there, and people were like DMing me that they're going to send me bags, and people are I've accumulated some bags now, and I know that some are on their way. And then I also set up an Amazon wish list for hygiene products, and and I had a great response
Yes.
for that, and I've gotten lots and lots of stuff, and it's actually just been really like heartwarming to see people give so generously. So I'm going to continue to do it with the help of you ladies.
Yeah.
Throughout the month of April. So if you're interested in that, you can go to my bio link on Instagram at Keegan.Winfield. It's in my bio. If you want to go in there and purchase any items,
Yeah.
feel free. I have had some worsties reach out and they've purchased some things. So it's been great.
Your house, the pictures you sent us of your table in your dining area is just covered, which is amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
So amazing.
It's super great.
Can't wait. So we're going to be putting bags together either today or tomorrow
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
to put together for the, it's
Yeah.
exciting.
It's very exciting. I'm really happy to be doing something that makes me feel good. I know Anthony was like, you're really going to take on another project. But I'm like, but it makes me feel good. Like, I like, you know,
yeah.
doing stuff. It's worth it to me.
Nice. I'm just, I'm just not in the best headspace.
Sure.
I'm trying to do all the things that I'm like, that I know are correct that will help improve that, like cutting out drinking, going on
Sure.
long walks every day, and, journaling and all of these things. And I just can't dig myself out. And I keep like questioning myself. I'm somebody that's always been like practical and had a plan. So I'm like, I just feel so silly to have left a job during the pandemic. And
Well, we talked about this yesterday on our stereo talk together. You can what if all
Yes.
day
Yeah.
about like, what if I'd made a different decision? What if I'd gone down a different path? But you know what? If you hadn't left, if you'd stayed there, you would be sitting here right now with us saying, what if I'd quit when I first wanted to quit? Like, it's exactly what would have happened, because you wouldn't be happy
Right.
with that either. Like,
Yeah.
it would be different. And the things that you're worried about and the things you're upset about would be different than the things that you're worried about right now. But like, there's just no way of knowing that, like, of knowing where you're going to end up. And so just trust that like you're on the right path for you right now, and that you're going to land on your feet, because you will. And you have
Yeah.
an incredible support system around you who are here to support you in whatever way that you need to be supported. So just trust that. I know it's fucking hard. I
Yeah.
know that when you're in that depression hole too,
Oh, it's so fucking hard.
impossible to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I know that. So just like,
But when you want a reminder that it's there, that's what we're fucking here for, is to remind you there is a fucking light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too, and the thing that kind of put me in spirals at times in the depression hole, were I wasn't using my brain. And I know that you're incredibly smart person, and I know that you like to be challenged. And I feel like sometimes when you're not being challenged, you're like, what do I do with myself? What do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And the thing that kind of, I'm not saying you have to go back to college. I'm not saying you have to go back to school or do anything that costs money. But like, I was doing a couple of those Allison courses online that are free, like free courses that give you certificates that you could do they cost nothing, but it might just be something that gets your brain. And then you have that like feeling of like, oh, I did this course. I have a certificate that says I did this course. That will look good on my resume. I don't know.
It's hard
It's different for different people.
Right. And it's hard too, because the industry that you're trying to go into is podcasting. Lots of opportunities in podcasting.
Yep.
But because of the pandemic, I feel like a lot of the opportunities to meet people have diminished. Now, you can get on apps like Stereo and Clubhouse, and they have like networking events virtually that way, which are good. And I know a lot of people who've taken advantage of those. But it is hard because you can't get out in front of people the way that you used to.
Right.
And I know I made a lot of connections in the podcast community through going to events, and like there aren't events right now. And so I know it's hard, but try not to be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Because these are extremely trying times, TM, you know, very hard, difficult times.
Yeah.
And you did something very brave and hard during one of the hardest years that I think we'll ever experience in our lifetime, you know. So just give yourself a break. It's self-care to just say it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, we have some patrons that we'd like to shout out.
A big what's up?
A big hi to Amanda Smith, JJ, and Angela Munoz. So hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're looking forward to The Shape of Water. It's coming your way early next month. I know I am too. I almost watched it last night. Instead, I fell asleep on the couch watching Deep Blue Sea, which is terrible. One of the worst movies of all time.
That one scary movie with the shark or something?
It's the shark.
Oh, God.
Like they like have made the shark super smart and like they are like hunting them and killing them. And LL Cool J is a chef.
Yep.
With a bird, which I was
Wait,
like
what?
is extremely unsanitary. He has like a parrot.
No.
And like the parrot, he's like talking to the parrot, and the parrot is like hanging out in the pans. Like he's cooking, and the parrot's like just sitting in the...
Okay, question.
No.
Could a guy have a pet that you would be like
A deal breaker.
A hard pass.
deal breaker? Yeah.
I don't think, well, bugs. You know, some people have like hissing cockroaches as pets, or like millipedes or centipedes as pets.
Pet. Like that's, to me, that's like.
What is it then?
Yeah. Like what, I mean, like you how do you enjoy that? That's weird to me. I'm going to get probably a lot of ats for this.
Yeah.
I saw this Facebook video with a guy that had the most enormous monitor lizard.
I'd be kind of into it. Well, okay.
And it was like 6 feet. It was
Holy
like as
shnikes.
big as Homeboy.
Okay, this is also controversial. So, you know, those of you who haven't gone after Cassie will come after me, I'm sure. But if any animal is too big, then I'm like, and it's nothing about like, I don't have any problems with it. I just know me, myself. I'm like, I think Great Danes are beautiful. I don't necessarily want one. You know what I mean? And
I
like,
think it comes to responsibility, right? Like, what is your
work.
responsibility to the animal? If you live in an apartment, should you have something that's 6 foot big or a fucking dog that is that fair to them? And what kind of life can you provide? I think that is what that comes down to.
Yeah.
I agree. And because we're apartment dwellers, I think our minds automatically go to, is your animal too big for you to properly be able to manage in the space that you can provide?
Some people really like do well with that. Like I have friends who love big dogs, and they have like several big dogs, and like those dogs are their life, and they take amazing care of them. But that's how it has to be. Like those animals have to be your life when it's a certain
you have
thing.
to take them like on long walks. You have to there's a lot. But then there's some smaller dogs that are like that too, that need that
high
much
maintenance
energy. I'm looking at you, French bulldog
Oh
owners.
God, I know, they're so fucking cute.
They're so fucking cute, but they need a lot of work. I honestly think, I don't know if it would be a deal breaker, but like really, really big snakes and stuff like that just make me uncomfy. Yeah. Where I would be like, I love that. I love people loving animals. I really do. But like, and not that I'm scared of snakes or anything, but
anything I have to feed another live creature to, like if you have to put in like a live mouse to feed it, like it's not for me. I mean, and I don't know if I can say that anything would necessarily be a deal breaker unless I thought it was like Tiger King vastly unresponsible, like that kind of thing. I don't know if I would say that anything would be a deal breaker. However, like you were saying, the care of the animal, like, man, I knew people who had ferrets.
What kind of life is it for a snake to sit in a fucking cage all day? Like, I just have that zoo complex in my mind where I just like, animals aren't here for us to be entertained by. Like, it feels so, I don't know, there's something deep inside me that just feels so wrong about having an animal like that has not been domesticated for 10,000
So maybe
years,
it would be a deal breaker for you.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely a part of me that's like cats and animals have been domesticated for
Cats
over
and dogs. Cats and animals is what
cats
you said.
and dogs have been domesticated for well over 10,000 years, right? Like that's anthropologically accurate.
They're our responsibility now.
Yeah.
Because we've made it so that they can't survive in the wild.
That's right.
I was going to say, I watched a thing that actually said that cats still aren't like fully domesticated and that they kind of just hang out with us because they recognize that it's like easier. Yeah. They're like, look, I can treat this person like garbage and they're still going to feed me every day and pet me and keep me warm.
Have you been talking to Chuck? I feel like I heard him say that out loud the other day.
Oh my God, it's so funny. But yeah, I mean, it's more about care, like, or if it's adversely affecting, we have never told this story on the podcast because we don't have permission to, but there was the 30 cat story where the guy had 30 cats, which is a hard pass. Or like I knew someone who had ferrets who I don't have a problem with ferrets. I actually think they're kind of cute, but you can if you let them roam around your apartment, just like free reign, that shit can get real gross real fast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
absolutely.
So it's that kind of thing.
So you're like have whatever pet, that's fine. We can date unless
we can negotiate.
Unless you're not caring for them properly.
Right.
Yes.
Then that's your deal breaker.
That's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way about cats and dogs too. If you can't take if you're a fucking horrible
shitty like pet owner,
we across the board.
Well,
it
says something about your character. Like if you won't take care of this animal that you were put in charge of, that you chose to take on,
right? Yeah,
like this responsibility you chose to take on. Then I mean, it's an issue. Like, yeah, because you have there are so many people who will take care of that animal. Like you don't have to keep it and treat it like garbage just because it makes you feel good to have something around.
I got into like a dark spot this week because I was supposed to go today to go to the shelter with my brother to pick up, an animal for him. He finally convinced Chris, like they can get a dog. Well, we're looking at the shelters and like bad news for my brother. There's like almost no dogs in shelters right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
They actually ran out of them
great
early in the pandemic because so many people were like, well, I'm at home. What better time to, get a puppy,
The only dogs that are in the shelter now, the vast majority of them are elderly dogs that have been surrendered, which is my literal nightmare. I think there's nothing worse to me than a family that decides that a dog that they've kept for 10 or 11 years is now an inconvenience to them and they fucking dump it in the shelter. Like, you cannot convince me otherwise.
No. I mean,
that's full heartbreaking.
It
really is.
It's horrible.
So bad. I was like,
sobbing. When we got Hicks, there was a Maine Coon who's beautiful. Like, Maine Coons are gorgeous cats. But there was a Maine Coon there who was 12 years old and had been surrendered. But sometimes I wonder, like, was this like an old person who died?
I wonder that too sometimes. Especially, when you think about what's been going on, like somebody...
Yeah, I mean, either way, tragic. But I do know that there are people, and
I would haunt my family if they didn't take my animal.
Imagine dating somebody and being like, "Oh, I really like you," and then finding out that they did that, like they surrendered an animal because they were like, "It became too much work. They were too expensive when they got old." Like,
well, I mean, that's the reddest of flags.
Yeah,
because I'm like, what's going to happen to you if you
100
get to high maintenance for them? If you have to go through some kind of crisis, how he's going to react. No, that would be a huge deal breaker for me, for sure.
Oof, that's a deal breaker on friendship, human being, like just in general. Like, I have nothing to say to you at all.
Oh,
ooh, well, let's lighten this up. Who are we gonna fuck, marry, kill?
Dark, real fast.
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
Ooh.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, I really haven't been like doing anything. Like I haven't been like consuming any media except for Real Housewives. Like I haven't, and YouTube. So like I don't even have anybody in mind for a fuck, marry, kill this week.
Yeah, I've just been doing like the Oscar watch.
Ooh.
Oh, you know what? We could do
Oscar movies
or Oscar nominated this year.
Yeah,
people who are nominated because Riz Ahmed is nominated this year. Ooh,
he is
hot,
so hot.
Yeah,
and he did so well in Sound of Metal. It is a great flick.
He looks a bit wild in that movie.
Oh,
but
he is hot.
He's got those big eyes.
I don't love the blonde thing.
Oh,
I don't love that. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go on record and be like, I don't love you, blonde. But he is fucking hot.
Yes. Okay.
Who else is up?
We got Sir Anthony Hopkins is up for The Father, which we watched last night. Oh my God.
Really?
It was such a good movie. It's a tough watch because it's Anthony Hopkins has dementia.
Oh.
So like, and Olivia Colman's in it.
Oh, I love her.
So good.
Dude, dementia and oh gosh, that stuff is, it's real life, right? Like it's things that people really go through and it's just so fucking hard to watch.
But the way that it's shot and the actual story of it, it's really cool because it's from his perspective. Mm-hmm. So you don't really know what's real or what's kind of part of his illness.
Oh, got it.
Because Olivia Colman's his daughter, but then sometimes it's another actress. So it's like, so you're seeing the movie through his eyes. Yeah. Whoa. It's really cool.
That's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
That's kind of brilliant. I like that.
So let's see who else is nominated. You've got Anthony Hopkins, Steven Yeun in Minari, which is awesome.
Did you ever watch? Oh, probably not. Knowing you, he did not watch Walking Dead. I'm assuming.
The very, very beginning.
So the Korean guy in that.
Oh
yeah, he's nominated for an Oscar.
Shut up.
Yeah. And
you're kidding.
He was awesome. That movie was really good.
What was the movie?
Minari.
Oh, okay. I don't know this. I haven't watched.
All of them are up on the
anything.
Plex,
Okay.
so you can see. Minari is a really cute family.
I really want to see that one.
It's so good.
Yeah, but the night that we were going to watch it, we had to do other things. Like I was packing or something, and I was like, "You have to watch that one because it's subtitles."
Oh, right.
But I really want to see that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, Steven Yeun, Riz Ahmed, Anthony Hopkins, Chadwick Boseman is up for one.
Oh.
Let's see, Sacha Baron Cohen.
Is he up for
Oscar?
Best Actor?
He's up for Best Supporting
Oh, okay.
for the trial of the Chicago 7.
Right.
Daniel Kaluuya, who was in Get Out.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's nominated for Judas and the Black Messiah in a supporting role. Lakeith Stanfield, also Judas and the Black Messiah. So there's some good ones.
Yeah.
But if we're going lead actors, then it's like Riz Ahmed, Chadwick Boseman, Anthony Hopkins, Gary Oldman, and Steven Yeun.
Gary Oldman. I love Gary Oldman.
Yeah,
I pick him.
His was for Mank.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen yet, but is on the list of movies I want to check out.
Well, I'm picking my favorite of the bunch. I loved Riz Ahmed in Sound of Metal. I think he was brilliant.
I loved him since the night of. Like, he's an incredible actor. Like, just amazing. Well, I'll go Steven Yeun then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Riz Ahmed, people have raved about that fucking movie and have said like he
so
should win.
good. It's so good.
Yeah.
It really moved me. I mean, a metal drummer losing his hearing and him coming to it's just beautiful. Go watch it.
Okay.
Fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah.
Wait, did you pick Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm gonna marry Gary Oldman.
So we're doing them, not their characters, since you guys
Them.
haven't seen
Yes,
the
them.
movies. Okay. I am going to marry Steven
Yeun.
He seems, I don't know that much about him as a person, but we're just making our generalizations as usual.
Is that how you pronounce his last name? I might be mispronouncing it, so just gonna say that before we get a bunch of mentions.
Right.
But
Yeah. He seems sweet and nice and stable.
Yes.
And
I get that vibe. And I've seen interviews with him back from The Walking Dead. And that's always how he's seemed.
Yeah.
It's just, like, kind of down to earth and like
Yes.
sweet.
Yes.
And I had such a crush on him in that show because, Glenn.
yeah.
Glenn.
Yeah. So I think he's the marrying type. And then, dude, I am going to break Riz Ahmed.
You got to do it. You have to.
I will. I am
Bend him in
Ivan
half.
Drago on him right now.
Oh,
I will
shit.
break you.
Yeah.
Dude, there's
Yeah.
something, those big eyes.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whew, chills.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then, I
I
got
have a feeling he might break you.
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean? Like, there's something about him.
There's an
I hope
energy.
he's competitive. So let's see.
I'm going to try my sprinter gene on you, Riz Ahmed.
He's got like skinny, strong man energy.
Yes.
Yeah, for real.
Dude, and I'll tell you what, in my experience, it's always the skinny ones.
Surprise you.
Surprisingly strong.
Surprisingly strong and surprisingly laying some pipe.
God damn.
It's true.
Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to do the exact same thing. I feel like you fuck Riz Ahmed for sure.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, you guys know the whatever it is in me that's like Pete Davidson's fine. There is that same thing with Riz Ahmed having blonde hair where I'm like, I'd fuck it. Like, I'd be attracted to, like,
I'm like,
I'm down.
Yeah.
Like, if I was single and I saw that in a at a show or whatever, I would be like, yes, into whatever this weird.
You like Nickelback too, so we're not going to hold
How dare you? Listen, for the record,
another.
never said I liked Nickelback.
I mean, another not meant to be blonde.
oh god,
Blonde.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, like there is a dirty situation happening
Right.
there that I'm on board with. But even when
Yeah,
he's
you don't want to
not
marry
that,
it though.
No, but I also don't think that Riz Ahmed is really like that. Like,
No.
he actually seems like a sweetheart in interviews as well.
Seems really smart too.
Oh gosh, he seems smart. Yes.
Ooh, I love smart.
Yes. So I am going to fuck Riz Ahmed. It's going to be an ongoing situation until I marry Steven.
Yeah,
right.
We're not one night stands.
No,
We're
no.
like,
It's
as many nights as I can
possible.
handle.
How many can you squeeze in? This is a long weekend.
And you might cheat on Steven.
Oh,
I ain't gonna say you won't.
He hits you up and be like, I have a business trip this weekend.
Wow.
Oh no.
Oh, the amount of guilt you would feel
Oh,
cheating
I
on
know.
Steven Yeun. You would come home and he'd be like, I made you pancakes. And you'd be like, oh, God.
Right.
Of course
What
you
did I do? What did I do? And then, you know that Sirius Black is my, like,
Oh,
my love, and that's Gary Oldman. But it's just the competition was too stiff. I'm sorry.
yeah.
That's all.
I think I'm not
I
gonna
hope
lie.
it's stiff.
Yeah, it is. Ayo, that's what she said. This is a rare find that we all agree when it's not so polarizing. You know what I'm saying? Like we've done some that are like Friends,
Obvious,
the
yeah.
guys from Friends, where you're just like, there is no other answer but this one.
Correct.
But this one,
you could
there
go a
could've-
multitude of ways.
You really
Yeah.
could. But I agree. You guys have talked me into it. You're right. Steven is absolutely the marrying type. I do think he'll have pancakes ready for you. He reminds me the most of Chris. He just has that sweet, gentle, fantastic demeanor.
Right.
Riz Ahmed is going to fuck you over, but it's going to be the best fuck over you've ever had in your life.
God, so good.
Yeah, he's gonna hurt you deeply, but you're still gonna think about him fondly. And
in
you're
good
like,
ways
why?
and in bad.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
It's so true. Ooh.
Oh, that was a good one. Well,
Yeah.
you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
Sounds good.
Yes. And we're back. All right. I will kick us off with stories. This is one that was written in by a listener. Thank you. It says, okay, here's a laughable tale of the only time I made the mistake of agreeing to a movie for a first date. Now, I feel like that's, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about this. I was like, I feel like it's kind of a safe bet. A movie. Like they always say like dinner and a movie, but I guess you are trapped in a dark room with someone for
right.
It's several hours. If you're going
You
on a
can't talk.
first date
Yeah.
with somebody you don't know, I think the movie is the worst
Yeah.
idea. Go do Putt-putting.
Anything.
Go do
Anything
like,
that involves interaction. I
Yeah.
guess that's true.
Yeah.
Putting's good. That's a good one.
I had a really great first date putt-putting.
You know
So
what?
fun.
I don't know if that would be a fun first date for me because I'm not good at it and I would get
And you're
so
competitive.
frustrated.
It's
yeah.
me and bowling. I fucking hate bowling so much.
They're like, I don't think I can be around her. She was
Nope.
real pissed like the whole time.
I
you know?
hate it.
First things first, he was 20 minutes late. And Cassie, I want to talk to you about this. He was 20 minutes late. I didn't really care in this particular case as it only meant missing the half hour of previews.
No.
You and I.
No. My
love the
theater
previews.
anxiety cannot handle that. I need to watch previews.
I
I have to be in the seat before the previews even start.
completely agree. I completely agree. I hate that. I hate it so much.
There's no guarantee that the movie will be good, but at least the previews will be entertaining.
That's right.
You know?
Almost my favorite part of
I know.
going to a movie.
Same.
Judging the trailers and be like, oh, that looks like shit.
Or,
Can't wait to see that. Yep.
But it didn't bother her. But she said it did make me wary of him overall. Which, yes, somebody who shows up that late. When he finally arrived, I didn't recognize him right away because he was wearing a hat and big sunglasses, which he never did take off for the entire date.
What?
Are you the Unabomber? Why?
In the theater?
What?
Weird. You're in a dark place.
Sir.
What's wrong with you?
It's very strange.
I couldn't see his hair or the top half of his face. He texted me from 100 feet away to say, "Come here." I made the mistake of doing just that, only to see up close why he never posted any pictures of himself smiling with his teeth. His mouth reeked. His teeth were an interesting 50 shades of gray. And sure enough, he was dipping tobacco with his bottom lip.
I am out of here.
No.
Goodbye.
Ma'am.
No.
But wait, there's more.
No.
Conveniently, he had forgotten his wallet.
Okay.
Begrudgingly, I paid for both of our tickets, and as he ordered a large slushie, I told myself I was in it for the movie at this point. She went to see The Nun. Now, here's the thing. If you really did forget your wallet, you're not ordering extra shit.
No,
okay?
honey.
Like, if I had agreed to pay for something or it was assumed that I would be picking up at least my part of it, and genuinely forgot my wallet somewhere, you better believe the guilt that I would feel about being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll Venmo you. Like, I'm not ordering a slushie.
I'm asking the place if they have a water cup that I can
Right?
fill.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Also, yeah, like phones exist now. So like, even if you did forget your wallet, you could Venmo or Cash App somebody.
No excuses.
None.
After the movie, he had to pee, no doubt after having a whole quart of cherry-flavored slush. Without a word, he shoved the icy into my hand and sauntered off to the men's room. I would have happily held it if he'd asked, but he left me standing on the 80s confetti carpet, laughing at the absurdity of it all and thinking, hey, fuck me, right? Perhaps my biggest regret is not yeeting the icy into the trash and hauling ass into the daylit afternoon. Upon him emerging from the bathroom and asking when I was free next, I smiled sweetly and said, I'll let you know. Spoiler alert, I did not let him know.
Good call.
Thank you so much. Love to you all and keep up the great work. XOXO.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Dude, dip. I think that's
Why? It's so inappropriate to show, even if you do that, which we've all talked about, not loving it, okay, to each their own, but you don't show up to meet someone with dip in your mouth. Like, what is the obsession? Because we had the story of the guy who slept with it in his mouth. Why do you have to dip all the time? Like, I don't understand.
I guess it's, like, I don't know that much about it.
That story still haunts me.
I know. It's bad. It's so bad. That really does haunt me too. I think about it randomly throughout the day.
It's not. I know. It literally just pops up like, oh.
Like
I
a
think
ghost.
about the dick more than the
Oh,
mouth. Like, the mouth is bad, but the fact that guy had not washed his dick and balls in over a week and she put it in her mouth.
Yeah.
No, ma'am.
That's still
I'm
queen.
about to eat out of here. I can't.
Well, my story was also submitted to us. The subject is "This date gets everything."
Great.
First off, love you ladies. Your banter is charming and your stories are entertaining.
Oh, thanks.
When I reread my story, I keep hearing it in Christina's voice, so this one's for you.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you. My worst date about 10 years ago. Plenty of Fish had a feature where you could mark on your profile that you were looking for a date that Friday night. I wasn't looking for anything serious, and I thought it would be fun to go on a series of low-effort dates. They were all chaos.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Here's my favorite. Chaos.
Yay. Perfect.
Dude and I were texting off and on all Thursday, and the exchange was amusing, so I was down to meet him on Friday. He suggests we see a movie, which we all know is the worst possible choice for a first
God
date.
damn it. Apparently,
Wow.
I have not been in the
Themes.
dating game because I was like, don't you do dinner and a movie? Like, that's what you do on dates. I
It's a
guess
very
not. I
early
guess not.
20s thought, or like late, like you just got out of high school, first date.
Yeah, I was always like met up at coffee shops or bars
Yeah.
for the first meetup because you definitely don't you
Open
want to be
scenery.
able to deuce
Dip,
out
yeah.
if it was bad, which most of the time they were. But I suggest we meet in one of Seattle's cool areas downtown, walk around the waterfront, find some food, and see if we clicked. He reluctantly agrees, but he really wants to see Inception that night.
Okay. Not only are
I'm
you
out.
taking me to a movie, you're taking me to like a 3-hour long movie where I have to pay attention
Yeah.
because like otherwise, I mean, people paid attention to that movie and still didn't know what the fuck was going on. So like,
I recently watched Tenet,
Oh.
which I was like, what the fuck?
I feel
Oh.
like Tenet people were like, we're not even trying. Like,
Yeah.
we're not even going to try and figure this out.
It was, yeah, I was.
Do you think he's the new David Lynch?
I get to our meeting spot before him, and he's running a few minutes late. No big deal. While I'm looking around, a parade of about 50 naked guys
I'm sorry.
bike past where I'm standing.
No.
I'm stunned and think it's hilarious. I had just seen more dicks in 2 minutes than I had ever expected to see in my lifetime.
Wow.
That sounds like all those people get arrested and have like sex criminal on their record now.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Now you can't go to a school. Yeah.
Is that some? I need to know more about this.
I bet we could
biking.
Google like
Seattle naked bikes. I called my date, who we'll refer to as Willie from now on, to find out his ETA and laughingly tell him that I just saw about 50 dicks and hoped that wouldn't affect our date.
That's
he did
great.
not find that funny.
Oh my God. All right. We're done. Like, because
Oh,
that
that's
tells
funny.
me that you don't have a good sense of humor. So
Yeah.
I'm not doing this.
Willie finally shows up, and he's about 6 inches shorter than he'd put on his profile. This is not a deal breaker for me height-wise, but a huge red flag since my first impression is that he's a liar. And he's late. He's a late liar.
And you can't get away with that. We say that all the time, but I'm like,
No.
6 inches? If you're lying by like an inch or two,
Right.
okay.
You're an
But-
actor. We get it.
But if you are lying by 6 inches, like, how do you
It's noticeable.
how do you expect someone not to notice that? Like,
You're like showing up. If you said you're 6 foot, then
And
you're
you're
5'6". It's quite a difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sir.
Sir. He immediately starts to put on a show for me, talking in a fake cool guy voice and bragging about his internship at Microsoft.
Of course, he wanted to see Inception. Like, I'm like, yeah, this tracks.
And he is going to explain the whole thing to you while it's going on.
Oh, did you not understand the ending? Let me break it down for you.
I give no fucks. I can tell he's a douche, but we're standing on a trail that goes along the waterfront and it's low tide. Perfect time for looking in tide pools. At that time, I was working at Seattle Zoo, teaching kids programs, and I was volunteering at the Seattle Aquarium. I tell him I'm going to look at the tide pools, and he follows behind me, still trying to impress me about how he works at Microsoft. Anyhow, there's this dad and his young daughter looking in the water next to me, and the girl asks, "What's that?" Her dad says, "I don't know, but it's pretty cool." I decide I'd rather chat with them and give a little tide pool talk about the animals and plants we were looking at. That's so cool.
That is
love
so
that,
cool.
yeah.
I know. I'm like so jealous that
And-
she knows what these things are because I'm like that dad. I'm like, I don't know, but it's pretty cool.
I have a feeling I know where this is going, and I have to say, if I was on a date with somebody and that happened, I would be so wildly impressed. I'd be like, I
Yeah.
think I'm in love with you now.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
awesome.
But I don't. I have a feeling that's not how this goes.
The kid was totally into it, and her dad thanked me. To be polite, the dad looks up at Willie and says, hi. Willie puffs up his chest and proudly tells the dad we're dating. He does not notice my what the fuck expression. I've known Willie for 10 minutes and spent 5 of those talking with other people. Willie is completely uninterested in the colorful tide pools of our walk, and he has asked no questions about me. He just wants to showboat. I already know there's no way I'm sitting through dinner with him, but we are 1 block from the IMAX theater that is showing Inception. I suggest we go to the movie after all. I had seen Inception before, but come on, a second showing on the biggest screen? Dope.
She seems great.
Yeah,
I know.
I would date her.
Yeah.
Willie buys our tickets, and I thank him and offer to get snacks. He wants popcorn and a soda, but won't suggest what soda he likes or doesn't like.
What? Why?
I say,
What a weird thing.
I literally have to choose one. Just tell me what you want. He says anything's fine. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
for
Except
fuck's
for you to
sake.
complain about it
Yes.
after. I hate you.
He goes to get in line. I go
You're
to the
getting Dr.
concession
Pepper.
stand. Oh my God, Dr. Pepper.
The most polarizing, right?
Anthony just bought Dr. Pepper last night. So
it's polarizing, though.
Yeah.
It's not everybody's drink.
When I order a soda, I ask if they can do a graveyard where they combine
Yes.
everything
Suicide,
on the
yeah.
soda line into one horrifying drink. They skeptically ask if I really want that, so I look them dead in the eyes and say, he said anything's fine, so he's getting everything.
Oh my God. I love her. I love her.
I go find Willie in the line and give him his snack, saying, I hope I chose a drink you like. He jumps immediately back into how he's a computer genius and he's going to work for Boeing next. He pauses to take a sip of his soda. I hold my breath. My eyes are wide in anticipation, and he doesn't react to the sludge flavor at all.
Oh.
This man-child is a monster.
Oh, my God.
I begin to wonder just how oblivious this guy is. We find our seats in the IMAX, and he tells me this is the 3rd time he's seen Inception, so he can explain it to me when it gets confusing.
Yeah. See, I knew
knew
that
it.
that's why. I bet you he takes all of his dates to go see Inception for this very
mansplaining.
reason. Like, yeah, because I'm not insulting Inception. It's a good movie. I'm just saying there's a particular kind of guy who insists you see it so that he can explain it to you. Ugh.
Lights go down, and he does not stop talking.
There you go.
My God, he is now trying to impress me with his undergrad degree, which was apparently at some Ivy college. I'm ignoring him. Movie starts rolling, and I whisper that we should be quiet. He says in a normal voice, it's okay to talk because we've both already seen it. I gesture to the people around us.
Right?
But Willie cannot read body language.
All right.
I completely ignore him, hoping this will silence him. The first scene begins, and he keeps talking over the dialogue.
I'm sorry, I'm leaving at that point. My secondhand embarrassment or my firsthand embarrassment cannot handle that. I would leave. I really would leave.
Crawling down my seat further.
Yeah.
And
I don't know this
further.
person. People literally boo at him.
Oh,
Yes.
I turn to him and give him my most stern, I'm the adult, you're the child, shush, with full-on angry finger to my lips. Yeah. He's stunned into silence, but it only lasts a few minutes. And then he starts loudly explaining what's happening on the screen as we're watching
here
it happen.
as well. Like, I am also here watching the same movie you're watching.
Yeah. I'm not dumb. Like, I can see what's happening.
Yeah.
I wish I brought the squirt bottle I trained my cat with. The movie ends almost 3 hours later. Since I wasn't impressed by the undergrad stories he told me during the movie, he's now telling me about his rich parents and his time at boarding school.
Oh my God.
Maybe he'll tell me about his participation trophy from 2nd grade next. He tells me he doesn't care where we go next. I decide I'm going to walk the 1/4 mile to my bus stop in the middle of downtown and bet that he won't even notice. We eventually get there, and he's still talking at me while I occasionally grunt a response. He walks up with me to the bus shelter, and where I estimate when my bus should arrive. It's due in 5 minutes. Perfect. I back up against the bus shelter wall, waiting for the bus in a crowd of people. He's leaning against the wall beside me. I cannot emphasize enough that we were in a bus shelter.
No clue.
The bus is squealing and stopping a few feet in front of us, and dozens of people shuffling in and out of the buses.
No clue.
He's still trying to impress me. I'm trying not to laugh. All of a sudden, something breaks through his filibuster and he looks around bewildered. Willie asks, "Are we at a bus stop?"
Oh,
what the fuck?
My God. Dude.
This is the first question he's asked me all night. My bus is now a block away. I say, "Yep," and there's my bus. He's immediately upset he didn't get to drive me home in his new BMW.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
God.
Oh my God.
I tell him that would never happen. He's not going to know where I live. He asks if he can at least give a hug, and I said, sure. This kid probably needs a hug.
Oh.
My bus pulls up. He goes in for a kiss with lips gaping open and a stringy saliva tongue stretching out to me. I duck that motherfucker, and he gets a mouthful of my curly hair. I leap away and up the stairs to my chariot home. As my bus pulls away, he yells a lingering, "Bye, Kara." I did not have a second date.
Oh God. Horrible. You see, like, oh my God, like dating, it just seems like there's the potential for so much wasted time.
Oh,
like, wow. The
it's
amount of
so
shit
much.
you could get done with
Yep.
that, like, whatever, 5 hours now because the movie was 3. Ugh.
It's a part-time job, for real.
Ugh.
And she gives us a short update. Said 1 month later, I meet my future husband.
Aw.
He's a zookeeper with the lions and giraffe and a stunning 6'4". We laugh about all the dicks I saw that day. And sometimes when I'm driving off to work, he yells, "Bye, Kara."
Amazing.
I love it. Okay.
I love it. I love Kara.
Me
Oh,
too.
I love you. All right. So we got this sent to us. It says, she introduces herself. I'm not gonna say her name. Lives in Chicago and frequent the Hinge scene on and off as I go in and out of shitty relationships. I have one date story that's so bad yet very entertaining, and my friends and family cannot get enough of it. Figured it would be a good one to share with you. So the story: first date. It all started with Hinge. I meet this guy. Let's call him Shane. Shane is 100% my type. Super smart, attractive, finance bro, investment banker in the city. Seems like a nice family guy, blah, blah, blah. We swipe on each other and decide to meet at one of my favorite wine bars. He came to my neighborhood at the time and picked my favorite wine bar, so he seemed like a true gentleman. It was a Thursday night, and I show up to the wine bar. I'm awkwardly searching around and find him when I catch a guy in the back waving and smiling his way. He's cute, thank God. We have a great night. We order a charcuterie board, a couple glasses of wine, and things seem to like they're going well. He was a little shorter than I preferred, but not a deal breaker. He seemed super sweet and we had a great conversation. The night ends with him walking me back to my place. He kisses me on the cheek and we depart. I was interested in a second date with him, but I wasn't blown away by any means. But then, again, rarely anyone seems to knock me off my feet these days. I love it. Cynical. Going in like, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second date. About 3 days later, I get the text. He asks me out again, but this time to dinner. This seems pretty typical for a guy who is into you and wants to get to know you more. The annoying part was that he asked me out on a Saturday. I hate first dinner dates on a Saturday. That is boyfriend time only.
Oh, no.
The weekend he asked me, however, a ton of my friends were out of town and I didn't have plans. So I figured I'd go anyways.
I guess I understand it. Like, Christina, you said similar things where you were like, the weekend is friend time. Like, because that's when you would hang out with us. And you're like, if I don't know it's going to be good, we're squeezing it in on a Wednesday night.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
Like, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, she's already had the kind of semi, but it wasn't, if you're not blown away, are you going to give up a Saturday?
Yeah, that's fucking prime time.
It's a prime time.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're not prime time material.
That's right.
Wow.
This is where it all got weird. For the dinner date, he tells me we're going to kick off the night at a super exclusive speakeasy and then go to a Michelin star tapas and wine place.
Okay.
Sounds like a perfect night. I ask him what speakeasy we were going to, and he tells me the Laker. I've gone on a lot of dates and get drinks nearly every week with my friends, and I have never heard of the Laker. I am asking groups and chats and friends if they had gone.
It's just
Googling
his house.
this place, looking on Google Maps, and I get nothing. I text him asking where it is and that I can't find it. And he says, that's normal. It's brand new, super exclusive.
Man, this sounds like Murder City.
I'm
not doing
alarmed.
this.
at first, but maybe it's literally just opened or it's some membership thing that he pays way too much to be part of. That's a very big city thing. Like Chicago, you can totally see like, oh, I paid this exclusive membership.
I don't know. I've seen too many episodes of Snapped. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
I'm with you. It sounds like his apartment.
yeah, right.
He's like so exclusive.
He's like the Laker.
Yeah.
He's got a sign above his front door. It's like the Laker.
Regardless, I agree to go, and he says that he will give me the details and everything on Saturday. It's now Saturday, and he sends me a time to meet and the address to the speakeasy for drinks. I get ready, have pre-date glass/bottle of wine, and plug in the address to my Uber app. I'm on my way. I'm 2 minutes away, and there are no signs of speakeasies or even a bar. Where my Uber drops me off is an apartment complex. It's nice, a nice high rise that is relatively new. So I figured maybe the speakeasy is in the lobby or around the corner. I get out, make a short lap around the block. No signs for the Laker. At this point, I text Shane saying, okay, speakeasies, I've been to speakeasies before. There's a lot of times where there isn't signage. Right. You know what I mean? Like it is supposed to be secret. It's supposed to be
But
quiet.
then I feel like you need to prep your date for that. If that's what it's going to be like, this is what you need to look for.
Right.
This is what you need to say to the
go
person.
in, ask this person,
Right.
say this, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't just like let them go in blind.
Right. At this point, I text Shane saying, I'm here, but I don't see the Laker. He tells me to go in the building and tell the apartment doorman that I'm looking for the Laker, and he will direct me. I do just that. Hi, sir. I'm looking for the Laker. I think it's a speakeasy. The doorman says, you're here for Shane?
Okay.
What the fuck?
Ew.
I nod. And he takes me into the elevator. We get out and he takes me down to the hall of apartments.
Stop it.
I'm standing outside of 1704 and he says, here's your place.
Shut your fucking face.
The Laker was his fucking apartment.
Ew.
Shane opens the door and says, welcome to the Laker, the most exclusive speakeasy in the River North. And we are in his
date.
kitchen.
Nah.
Why can he not understand why that is the most infuriating,
Horrible,
annoying, scary
Yeah.
thing you can do to somebody?
Yeah.
That's not cool.
No, you should never trick someone into being in your apartment. And like,
And then I got the doorman in on it, dude.
God.
You got the doorman in on
well,
this.
look, here.
He
Here's
dropped
the
some
thing.
coin to the doorman and was like, bring her up.
We've all seen 90s rom-coms, and this
Yes.
is something that would play out in a very romantic way on a 90s rom-com.
That's what.
But the thing is, this is a second date. If you've been dating for a while and like understood the person's sense of humor, like maybe at that point you could be like, oh, this is kind of like a funny, cute, romantic thing to do.
We're ready to take the step, but we're not.
This person doesn't know you like that.
No.
Like you can't just have them come over. And also, we have discussed, how pissed are you when you've wasted like a nice outfit and makeup? I'm coming to your house?
Fuck you. This is
No.
not. No. I'm so weirded out at this point. He then hands me a leather-bound book, like one that you have at happy hour specials or drinks at restaurants. And I open it, and it's homemade menu. The menu reads, the Morgan Moscow Mule, the Morgan Margarita. He printed out a custom menu for our date, and he is the Laker bartender.
Again,
I am peeing my pants at this point.
Again, this is so something that Matthew McConaughey would have done in like an early 2000s rom-com.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
and we would have all been like, that's so cute. But like in real life,
No, not cute.
it's weird. It's weird.
No.
It is weird.
I hate
It's
it.
weird for the level of the relationship.
Yes.
they're at.
Right.
Yes.
But like, if they had been, like we said, dating for like a couple months and really liked each other, I'd
Sure.
be like,
cute.
This is fun.
this is
Because he put in a lot of effort. You're like,
Correct.
oh, that's actually really sweet.
yeah.
But they're not there yet.
But yeah, here right now, I'm like, I've seen this Dateline serial killer. Like,
Yeah.
get out.
No.
Like, you're in danger.
This is a second date, and I don't even know this guy, but I ended up ordering the mezcal margarita. The story goes on and on. He yells at me at dinner. He tells me I need to work to drink slower, and at the end of the date, he tells me he would never marry and be with just one woman.
What?
That he doesn't believe in monogamy.
Okay.
I would love to tell the story in more detail with a large glass of wine, but hope you enjoyed Wild Times Dating in Chicago.
Wow. Wow.
That's a lot to lay on a person in your apartment on a second
So
date.
I'm
you
guessing
know?
the Michelin star restaurant that she was going to was also located in 1704.
At the Laker.
The Laker.
It's at the Laker.
Oh, it's
I wish she could have left a Yelp review or something. Like 1 star.
Scam. This is a scam.
She should have just, honestly, she should have just texted
Ray.
with 1 star, left a review, and then blocked him. Left a Yelp review to his text messages.
Oh my God.
Okie dokie. Okay, so it is my turn to do the Tainted Love story this week. This is one that I heard a while back, I think back around Christmas on Noble Blood.
Yeah.
So it's another Noble Blood story. But I also got a lot of information on ParisianFields.com. Has kind of a fun, it might be a blog, but it was very well written. And Wikipedia's as well. Okay. So Françoise Sebastiani was born on April 14th, Aries, what's up? 1807 in Constantinople.
Istanbul was constant. Sorry.
Every time.
I have to.
Every time,
Can't
me
not.
too. Same.
Can't
Same.
not.
She was the only daughter of an extremely wealthy French nobleman, politician, and army general. Her mother died while giving birth to her, and her father, who nicknamed her Fanny, which is the name that she would go by for the rest of her life, doted on her and loved her dearly. Like her whole family did. She was just this beautiful, cute, sweet, child. And to show you like how high ranking and how much money they actually had, her uncle was a duke. So like they were very well positioned in life, and she was also very beautiful. So
Can't hurt.
Life's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Life is good for Fanny. So in 1874, when she was 17, she meets 19-year-old Charles Theobald. So Charles, who sometimes also went by Theobald, was from an incredibly powerful and prominent family, and was directly related to the reigning king of France at the time, Louis Philippe. So
Also can't hurt.
Like, these are two powerful people. It's a power couple. So though he was somewhat handsome, he was not super charming. He was a quiet guy, and sometimes some people would say that he was even like a cold guy, but the two hit it off right away, and there seemed to be a lot of like genuine affection for each other. So it was kind of big news when they got married, because there's like these two young, good-looking people who struck a love match, which was very unusual. He was only 2 years her senior.
Wow.
It looked good. Life was coming up roses for them. So the couple decided to start having a family immediately, and they would go on to have 10 children, though several did not survive childhood. And it's also said that Fanny had several pregnancies that ended in miscarriages. So she had many, many pregnancies throughout the course of their marriage. Yeah. And as a result, her body changed.
Oh, yeah?
What happened?
What?
Yeah.
10 births?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And her body changed. That's
That
weird.
reminds me of the stereo talk that I had with Kelly this week. One of her would you rathers was like crazy. I forget what the alternative was, but it was like, would you rather do this thing or be married to like a bear that you had to birth like 10 bear babies?
No. At
no.
one time, like
What?
a litter of bear babies?
Oh, it was like, would you rather marry a vampire who's an asshole and you live for eternity, but he's like an asshole,
dick.
or marry a nice like skin changer who impregnates you with 10 bear babies?
Did she come up with this on her own?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Amazing.
And I was like,
Vampire.
actually kind of like, I'll take the 10 bear babies.
Yeah.
It's a nice skin changer. And I was like, who wants to live forever with an asshole?
Yeah.
But yeah, 10 bear babies.
It's a lot of bear babies. I feel like that would hurt.
No, yeah.
Your body will change.
Hey, yeah, your body's going to change.
Anyways,
your body's
your
gonna
body's going to change.
Yes. but so yeah, it's like her body changed as she got older. She also went through trauma. Like some of her children had passed away in childhood. She'd gone through several miscarriages. Would be difficult for anybody. But she, by all accounts, still adored her husband, doted on him completely, was still wrapped up completely in love with him. He, on the other hand, had started to pull away from her. He was no longer interested in her, like physically and things like that. So after 23 years of marriage, the couple, their dynamic really started to change. And because of this, because he the more he pulled away, the more she clung on. Like, she clung on super hard to him, which of course that dynamic is never good because it just causes the person who's pulling away to pull away harder, you know. But she would sit in their big old house and write letters to him and write in her diary, and she would sometimes write to her husband several times a day, right, telling him how much she loved him and also apologizing for, you know, things that she's done wrong or she's perceived to have done wrong.
This is such,
right,
so
just
sad.
it's so sad. It was like all hours of the day and night she would be doing this, and though they lived under the same roof, she would have a footman deliver these notes several times a day, like just making trips back and forth across the house. And this article that I read in Parisian Fields, I liked this quote where they said, "One can only imagine what she would have done if she'd had access to email."
Oh God.
Oh God.
Or texting.
Walls of text. Walls of text.
Bing, bing, bing,
Ding. You're like, fucking Christ. Put it
Trying to work
on
here.
do not disturb.
Right.
So with her change in mood would come semi-frequent outbursts. So he did not seem good at comforting his wife, clearly,
Obviously.
or reassuring
Or
her
care.
in any way that, like, it's okay. And so he would either ignore her altogether or he would respond in what was described as icy rage. Like, so
fun.
he would just ignore her until the point where, like, it bubbled up, and then he would explode on her. And he started spending more and more time away from home, and this scared the shit out of her, she was trying to save her marriage and her family. So though he would paint his wife as mentally unstable, even making her sign a document that stated that she would never be alone with their children.
Wow.
The household staff loved Fanny. They adored her. They were fiercely loyal to her. And despite whatever issues were going on at home, she maintained a very active social life. Like, she was still going out to parties, still very much involved in these like aristocratic circles in high society. It was still very much like liked. In 1841, Charles's father died, which made him the Duc de Praslin. And he immediately set about restoring the family's home, which is today known as the Vaux-le-Vicomte. And it's this huge chateau that had once made, what is that? X1V. So 10-4.
The 14th.
14. Yeah. Yeah. It's this huge chateau that had once made Louis XIV so jealous that it prompted him to create Versailles.
Oh, shit.
And you can go. The place is amazing. There's a website. I went and looked at it, which will give you like
oh my God, send it
tours.
to me.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
I will.
yeah.
I want to
Put it
post
in
that.
the-
Yeah.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Like, this place is gorgeous, and that's his family home.
Oh,
so
no big
you
deal.
get kind of like it's very Bridgerton in that like
Amazing.
he's a duke now, and they have this enormous property. So because of Fanny's frequent outbursts, we can call them this, but honestly, maybe she just wanted to spend time with her kids and her husband.
Yeah,
without being
that's weird.
supervised like a normal family. The family went through governesses quickly. So they were cycling through governesses. And that same year, so 1841, the family hired a governess named Henriette de Luzy. So Henriette was an illegitimate, they describe her as an illegitimate orphan. I don't know why I just made eye contact with Cassie.
Yeah. It wasn't me.
Because I don't like that phrasing, but it is the phrasing that was used, illegitimate orphan. And she was just a very far cry from the two nobles that she was now working for. So her grandfather was kind of her financial benefactor, but he resented the fact that she existed at all because his daughter had gotten pregnant out of wedlock, and it was this whole like scandalous situation. So when her mother died at a young age, she dropped out of art school to become a governess to earn her own way, like through life. She arrived at the family's like smaller home, the Hotel Sebastiani, and took up residence there. So it was like a property within the larger property. Henriette was young, she was vivacious, she was outgoing, and while the other servants were really skeptical of her, or even downright disliked her, Charles and the children adored her. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't long before it seemed like Fanny's children and husband preferred her to herself. You know, like she was like,
love that.
Mm-hmm, yeah, it would be heartbreaking. It would be hard to see. So Fanny was nearing 40 at this point, and she noticed
over the hill.
Wow. And she noticed that her husband rarely came to her bed anymore. He rarely even spoke to her throughout the day. And she would hear him on the other side of the house laughing it up with Henriette and her children.
Don't love that.
It's not good.
Not going to end well. It's an Aries we're fucking with here. Just saying.
It's true. That is true. During this time, Fanny began to have nightmares. So she would have reoccurring nightmares where she would see the devil standing over her bed in the middle of the night. And she would tell her friends about these dreams. And everybody kind of dismissed them. Like they were like, you're having a really hard time. It's really stressful for you right now. I'm sure that that's what's going on. So after 6 years of having Henriette in the home, rumors began to swirl that there was an affair happening between the governess and the Duke. And Fanny insisted at that point that her husband fire Henriette. She was like, I'm not here for it, because she's still going to these parties. And this has become the talk of the town. Mm-hmm. Like that you have someone in your home with you who's in charge of your children who your husband is fucking. And like they were like, it's not cool. Mm-mm. So Charles refused at first. He told Fanny that if Henriette goes, then he's going too.
Okay, bye.
Mm-hmm. But she called his bluff. She was like,
oh shit.
If you refuse, I will divorce you. I will take my inheritance and I will take the children. Now, it was an actual legitimate threat because while it was very common for men to have mistresses, it was not common or socially acceptable to keep them within your house. It was like a huge taboo.
Big no. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you have an apartment for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they live.
So she likely would have won this divorce. And as a result, not only would he lose the inheritance, but the scandal could ruin them. And matches for their daughters would suffer. And they have a lot of them. So it would be an issue.
Would you say 80 kids?
75. So Charles agrees. He's like, all right, I will go ahead and fire Henriette. You take the kids. You go back to our country house. I'll stay here in Paris. I will fire Henriette, and then I will just wrap up some business here in the city.
Okay.
Sure.
So
I believe that.
She's like, okay, fine. She's like, whatever. You win some, you lose some. As long as she gets fired, whatever. So she goes back to the country. And while he did fire her, and Henriette was actually upset about this because she had grown to really love the kids. And it was difficult for her. She didn't really say goodbye to the children. Like it was hard for her. And she wrote letters actually where she was like bemoaning the situation of like how bad it was. However, he did rent the governess an expensive apartment in Paris.
That's how you do it.
And the two spent a full month together while Fanny and the kids were away in the country. When the family returned to join the Duke in Paris that next fall, Fanny walked into her house, like her Paris house, and she notices that some things in the house are out of place, like things are kind of like weird. She calls for her husband. He doesn't respond. She's like, that's a little weird. Usually he'd be here waiting for me and the kids to return home. And above all, she notices that the hinges on her door are missing in her bedroom. And she's like, you know what? It's weird, but also I'm tired and I'll have the servants take care of it later or whatever. So she has dinner. Her husband comes home, and that's the last time anyone sees her alive. On the morning of August 14th, 1847, around 5 a.m., noises awoke two of the servants in the Praslin house. So there was a scream, there was a crash, and sounds of a struggle. So two of them, one of them was the valet for the Duke, and one of them was her personal maid who had been with her since she was like 16. So very close to the Duchess. They make their way over to the bedroom and they find that the door was locked from the inside. And there were two other doors, I think, that led into her room. All of these doors are locked. They can hear like
a commotion.
muffled sounds coming from inside the room. And so eventually the valet breaks a pane of glass and they make their way into the bedroom. By the time they get into the bedroom, the Duchess is dead and the entire room is splashed with blood everywhere. She had been stabbed over 30 times. Ooh. Her skull had been bashed in and her throat had been slashed. So
that's personal.
Yes, very aggressive. So quickly, I mean, all the servants in the house are awake at this point. Like they've heard the commotion. They understand what's happening. So they all make their way into Fanny's room. But the Duke was surprisingly nowhere to be found. He didn't show up in the room until almost 10 minutes later, despite the fact that his bedroom was connected to his wife's through an antechamber. There was an antechamber that connected them. And the doorway from the Duchess's room to the antechamber was unlocked.
Oh, okay.
So also, like, if there was so much commotion that it woke up all of the servants who are presumably in a completely different area of the house.
Right.
How did he not wake up? How did he not hear this, right? It was very strange.
He killed her.
Yeah, and he had to change out of his bloody clothes.
That's right.
So when he finally came into the room, he acted shocked. Like, I'm really seeing like a shocked Pikachu meme, you know,
right.
Oh, what happened? You know? So he was very dramatic. He's crying out that some monster must have murdered Fanny and somebody needs to get a doctor quick.
And all the servants are looking at him like,
major side eye, right? So he said that it was probably burglars because Fanny, you know, she was a woman about town and she flaunted all of her jewels. And she actually had a diamond necklace that had been gifted to her by Napoleon and Josephine. So she had like an incredible collection of jewels. But when the police arrived to the scene, they noticed that nothing had been taken.
oh, that's weird.
That's weird. Also, if you're the one who's going to suggest that maybe it was a robbery, maybe take a few things.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Duke put on quite a display. He was wailing, he's screaming, he's crying, he's talking about how his children are now motherless. He's throwing himself across.
Christina, did you hear my eye roll over the mic? Sorry if it picked that up. Yeah.
He's throwing himself across his wife's bloodstained bed, you know, just distraught. And police start examining the room, and they found that Fanny's hair had been ripped out. Her nails were bloody, which indicated that there was a struggle that had ensued. The rope to the bell that she would have used to call her servants had been cut. And it was apparent that not only was this not the work of robbers, it was the work of someone who clearly didn't know what they were doing. So when they found a gun in the room, they found a rifle or something like that in the room, they noticed that it had obviously been used to bash Fanny's head in. Like, it hadn't been shot, but the butt of the rifle had blood and hair on it. And so they asked the Duke, like, who does this belong to? And he was like, okay, listen, this is the most ridiculous shit. He was like, look, the gun is mine, but here's what happened. I actually heard the struggle that was happening, and I got my gun and I brought it in here to fight off Fanny's attacker. But when I arrived, the attacker was gone already. So I went over to hug my wife's dead body, and then I became so covered in blood that I had to go back to my room and change out of my bloody clothes because I didn't want to frighten the children. And that's when he came back to the room with all the servants later on. That's what took him so long. Mm-hmm. He was like, this is what happened, and I had to go change out of my bloody clothes and come back. Yeah, so the police were like,
Still doesn't explain away the hair and scalp on
very weird. It's very weird.
Yeah.
So the police actually said, quote, "This is not the work of a professional thief or murderer. This is a vile business clumsily done. This is the work of a gentleman." Which is some shade. Also. So when the police searched the room, they found, the Duke's bedroom. They found the bloody handle of a dagger, a bloodstained bathrobe that someone had tried to wash with soap, and several other items that were unidentifiable because they had been burned in the fireplace.
Wow.
And then the Duke's sink was splattered with blood. So
you're not even trying, son.
No, man. Like, the level of like not even giving a shit here, like, you know, that he was like, oh man, I have all that blood in my room, I have to make up an excuse as to how that blood got there. So he made up the most ridiculous excuse of all time, which is that, like, oh, I came in here, I saw her dead, I hugged her body, and then I left. And that's why there's shit in there.
He's also banking on the fact, or has lived a life where I'm sure he's gotten away with like a lot of shit. Being a fucking duke, being as powerful and as rich as he is, I'm sure is going to come in handy right now.
So when they examined his body, they saw that he was covered in scratches and bite marks, and he was also limping. And when they were like, hey, what's up with the limp? He went off. He went full affluenza on them. He starts screaming that he was a peer of the realm and a duke, and how dare they ask him these invasive questions.
How dare you?
Rude, right?
That's how I want to like answer every question.
Yeah,
I'm a peer of the
Do
realm.
you not know who I am? How
dare you?
I am a duchess. I'm going to buy one of those Scottish royal packages.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
Could you imagine? Oh my God. The world does not need me to have that.
Oh God.
Does not. That and a sprinter gene? My God.
Unstoppable. Unstoppable. In fact, I would only expect you to go everywhere in a full crown.
Of course.
Wow. Now, arresting a duke was politically controversial and dangerous for the police to do at this time. The king actually had to sign off on the arrest of such a high-ranking nobleman. Like, the king had to be like, I'm cool with this. So the police, the chief person, he wrote out like all of the evidence, assembled it. It was very detailed, sent it over to the king. And the king was like, well, I have no choice but to sign off on this arrest because
it's clear.
So obviously did it.
Right.
It was so obvious. He had no other choice. Now, noble society was outraged that the police would arrest a duke for murder. And they knew that a trial would reflect terribly on not only the king, but all of French nobility. But with all the evidence that they had no choice because not only...
Sir, you didn't even try.
No, and not only did they have all of that, they also had Fanny's journals where she would talk about how her husband was becoming increasingly violent towards her, and how unhappy their marriage was. And she talked a lot about Henriette in her journals. So Charles was put under house arrest initially because they couldn't just arrest him. That's how it was. They were like, well, we'll put him under house arrest because we actually can't arrest him because of his like noble status. Eventually, they were able to send him to prison, but they were taking all of this time before the trial because they had to assemble peers of the realm to try the duke, and they were having trouble finding enough people because I guess noblemen can only try noblemen. They couldn't hire commoners to be on the jury for this.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because the commoners would be like, guilty. No, we have no evidence. No, he's guilty.
Yeah, but on the other side of that, then the only people you have are people he grew up with.
That's right.
They're all his
I know.
friends.
It's not good on either side.
Right. So it's like, and it was notorious like for letting him off. Like this court was notorious for letting other nobles off very easily. So, you know, there was like a big to do about this. It was kind of like a really difficult situation that everybody found themselves in. But before the trial could even take place, the Duke drank a vial of arsenic and afterwards broke the bottle and swallowed the shards of broken glass.
Bye.
It took him 6 days to die.
Ooh, that is everything he deserves, I think.
Yeah. The common people, though, were pissed. They were outraged because they were like, where were the guards who were supposed to be watching him? Where did he even get the poison? It was a very Epstein-esque situation where they were like, this person
he got suicided.
Yeah, they were like, well, he's not going to receive any justice for this. And there was a common theory at the time that this was actually the nobleman that the nobleman imprisoning him had actually given him the arsenic so that they could avoid the scandal of going to trial.
Here's the thing. I think that's pretty justice. I mean, and I'm somebody who is severely into justice. And 6 days of death. by bottle shards and poison. I think that's a just desserts if I ever saw it.
For this one person it is, but I
No,
think
I get it.
yeah, the outrage was more for like this larger system that is built to protect the wealthy and the elite, and they would rather kill this person than tarnish their image by sending one of their own to prison.
Viva la revolution!
Yeah, they were pissed. So in the 6 days it took him to die, he was constantly interrogated, but he mostly remained quiet, although he would say these long-winded things about how he doesn't have the energy to respond, and they'd be like, bro, we just need a yes or no. Did you do this thing? And he's like, I can't do it. So he was basically just would not admit to anything. Henriette was also arrested and kept in solitary confinement for 3 months so that she would not obtain any outside information about the investigation. She didn't learn about the Duke's suicide until 3 weeks after his death.
Damn.
And she was repeatedly questioned. They examined her letters. They presented her with all this stuff. But at the end of the day, they didn't have anything on her.
It seems unlikely she had anything to do with the actual act of...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was never charged. She was never charged, and she was eventually released. Now, again, the common people very pissed about this turn of events, and this affair was the last straw in a string of scandals that undermined the public's confidence in the court of King Louis Philippe. And it contributed directly to the revolution of 1848, which brought the end to Louis Philippe's reign. Like, people were like, enough. We've had fucking enough. Like, they were pissed. Okay, this is interesting. Several months after the death of the Duke, his children and servants were cleaning out his bedchamber when they discovered a hidden trunk. When they opened it, they found a masquerade costume complete with an ornate mask. The costume was red and the mask was a devil mask. If rumors are to be believed, the nightmares that Fanny experienced in the months before her death were actually her husband sneaking into her bedchamber at night in an effort to frighten her into insanity because he could more easily dispose of her that way, of being like this insane woman, than having to resort to murder.
I'm shook.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
That is a whole nother level of effort.
Yeah.
You bought a costume.
Yes.
You wake up in the middle of the night.
Yes, with no alarms, by the way.
And play like, you know, a trick on your...
It's so evil.
I'm going to try that tonight with Chris.
Oh my God.
I would... That's... Wow.
That is the scariest part of the story, actually, to me. I'm like, the idea of somebody standing over you in a costume watching you sleep.
Night after night.
I don't like it. I don't like that.
It's horrible. Henriette Deleuze would go on to move to the United States and marry a prominent minister, Henry Field. She became a staple of New York high society, and she would rub elbows with the likes of Harriet Beecher Stowe and Nathaniel Hawthorne. Harriet Beecher Stowe was one of her best friends.
Did she inspire the Scarlet Letter?
You know, I didn't see that, but there's so much interesting stuff here. Okay, so most people in the U.S. did not know about her past, but occasionally someone from the old world would show up at a party and accuse her of murder.
Oh, shit.
And people were like, no way, because she was so well loved. Like, when she died, you know, New York Literary Society came out en masse, like, to support her. Like, there were like famous, you know, authors who were carrying her casket, giving eulogies, and everything was like she was the most likable, outgoing, wonderful lady. And someone even wrote, he was like, her plainness made it all the more like fascinating that she won the love of the Duc de Praslin, like, because she just had this like sparkling, incredible personality, I guess. Then Henriette's great niece, Rachel Field, became an author herself. And in 1938, she wrote a novel about the situation, a fictionalized version called All This and Heaven Too. And then they made a movie in 1940 starring Bette Davis
Perfect.
in the role of the governess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfection.
And it's a very, of course, very romanticized version. In this version, of course, like they're very much in love and he takes the fall for her because it's a very romanticized version, but what can we expect? Now, here is the last crazy thing. There are some people who do not believe that the Duke ever killed himself. Instead, they believe that he used his powerful connections, including his connection to the king, and those 6 days that it took him to die, he was actually escape,
Okay.
and that he ended up in Nicaragua, where he changed his name and remarried, fathering 5 more children. Now, evidence of this.
Okay.
The Duke was supposedly buried in an unmarked grave in Paris, but no one actually saw his body interred. And then there are also paper trails in which a man with the same name did travel to North America before ending up in Nicaragua, where he lived out the rest of his life, saying that he was the Duc de Praslin, and eventually was interred alongside children who shared that same surname. So there are people in Central America who believe that they are related to the Duc de Praslin and that this is actually what happened.
Wow.
What is more likely, though, is that a servant stole his traveling papers and his clothes and impersonated him so that he could start his own new life.
I like that story better.
In the new world with its new status and title. Now, there are pictures of him as an older man, quote unquote, the person who was saying, like, I am the Duc de Praslin, but most people tend to believe that that didn't happen, but it could have.
Interesting.
Wow.
Great story.
Dude, that was good.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love it. That story had everything.
Yeah, right? Oh, well, what are you watching this week?
Ugh, nothing. I mean, like, seriously, I started the new season of Good Girls. Mm-hmm. So I've been watching that every week as it comes out because I just find that show to be just so, like, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to have on. But other than that, yeah, I was trying to get through as much of Real Housewives as I could so I could talk to Christina about it, but not much else.
I've been doing the Oscar thing. So this week I watched The Father, which is incredible. That's
the Anthony Hopkins one.
That's the Anthony Hopkins one where it's shown through his perspective as somebody that's going through dementia. So you're kind of like, what's real, what's not. It's really weird. Even like the apartment is a character because little things about the apartment change. And you're like, wait, that wasn't the sideboard that was there.
That's going to be a hard watch. I don't know.
Yeah. And Olivia Colman's just
amazing.
Awesome. Minari, great. I do think the woman that's up for Best Supporting Actress for that, who plays the grandma in the film, should absolutely win.
Yeah.
It's fucking charming, beautiful
ads
movie
with her in them. Like, that's all I've seen is just the trailers. And I'm like, oh my God, she's precious. Oh, I can't wait.
And that little baby boy is the cutest baby ever. I also saw, oh my gosh, we've just been binging like movies.
All the movies.
Yeah. But you know, it's something fun to do. It's movies I don't think I would have seen if not. So I think that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. I started watching a show that you both will like a lot, I think, and it's called Harrow, and it's on Hulu, and it's an Australian show, and he is like a pathologist, like forensics. Like he does postmortems. Coroner.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it is like a murder mystery, and each week so there's like an overarching like murder mystery, right? Then each week pieces of that puzzle come together, right? But each week there's a new like, oh, this crime happened, so they're solving like a short crime and then overarching.
Ooh,
it's really
I like that.
good. It's really good.
Okay.
We have been binging the shit out of that. So
nice.
I
think both of you guys would really like it.
Hulu?
Hulu.
Okay.
It's called Harrow.
Okay, great.
I also started watching Q, Into the Storm, the documentary on HBO.
No, thank you.
Where you at in that? Oof.
I'm like, we've only seen 2 episodes. I'm like, I was kind of like waiting for the documentary because I'm like, I think if we want to do a lot of work eradicating that, like laughing at it or pointing it out for what it is, will go a long way towards possibly reaching people. I don't think this is the documentary that's doing this.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard as well.
Yeah. I think from what I've seen so far, it's like it's just not.
I've heard it's worked. I mean, I heard it's more normalizing these people and like being like, yeah, they're just normal. Which, as someone who has Q believers in my family, they aren't. They're normal people. Like, they're people. And I do think that it's important.
They've been hoodwinked.
Right. And it's important to acknowledge that, yeah, they are. That's what's so scary about any of this stuff, right? Is like any kind of cult or anything like that. It's like these are normal people believing things that you would never think that people would believe in. However, I think there's a very thin line between saying like, yes, these people could be your neighbors, your parents, your whatever, and completely normalizing the behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I saw it up and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to take that journey.
Yeah, I think they're trying to figure out who Q is.
Right.
And so like,
I wonder if they interview my cousin. I'm pretty sure that's who he is.
They really focused in on the guys that run 8chan. It's like a father-son duo who are like, I'm pretty sure after watching the second episode, I was like, oh yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
This crazy pig farmer that's living in, I forget where he's living. It's like some like Asian country. And he's just like, he's a weirdo that collects pens that randomly believes all of the stuff that Q believes, but like has never heard of Q. Even though he runs 8chan. And I'm like,
stop it.
Okay, sir.
Literally cut it out immediately.
Yeah. So
I don't know who is Q. Who is this guy?
Who
Never
is
heard
it?
of him.
I don't know her.
I don't
know her.
Wow.
It's the most popular board on the website that I run, but
And is everywhere right now. Like, you have to be living under a rock if you've never heard about Q at this point. QAnon. Like, come on.
Yuck.
Well, if you have stuff that we should watch, stories to share with us about bad dates now that the world's opening up again, we hope that you go on many good dates. But if you go on a bad one, send it in to us.
Also, there are going to be so many bad dates because people don't know how to people anymore. Like, nobody knows how to behave anymore. I saw somebody at the grocery store straight up in pajamas with slippers. I'm like, look.
Completely feral by this point.
We are. We're feral people.
Oh, the interactions are going to be just, I can't wait.
Yes.
I just want to sit on my porch and drink.
I want to people watch
That's
this
it.
whole thing. Go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com, and we love you so much.
Cheers.